It's almost hard to believe that over a decade ago, we saw the long-awaited follow-up to Rocksteady's massive Batman Arkham trilogy. Having spent roughly 9 years working on their next game since Batman Arkham Knight in 2015, surely Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League could show people that the studio can develop other unique games that pay tribute to beloved superhero IPs, specifically those within the DC Comics catalog, right?
Comics? New ones on page 2? Oh, be the best edition they've ever seen.
According to almost anyone and everyone who lives on the internet, you would think this game was more catastrophic than when E.T. launched on the Atari 2600 in Christmas 1982, if not equally. And how could it not be perceived that way when Warner Brothers themselves reported a massive loss of $200 million, most of that loss being caused by Suicide Squad's development? But now, having been a year since launch, maybe we can finally sit down, analyze the game for what it is, instead of what it could have been, and see if a year's worth of post-launch support might have improved the game in some way. Welcome to MojoPlays! My name is Ty, and today we'll be looking at Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and how it holds today compared to when it first launched.
Discipline. Loyalty to your team.
Before we begin, we publish new videos all week long, so be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. It has certainly been an odd year playing this game. At launch, yours truly was one of the very few defenders of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. While some of the mission structure was tedious in how frequently you were doing the same few escort, control point, horde survival missions over and over again, there was something satisfying in finding the kinetic movement between each character. It had gameplay similar to Doom in how moving around was your key to survival. Zero in on a group of enemies, blast them all in a few short rounds or a single grenade, then get moving again before the enemies can land a shot on you.
Don't let these snipers pop your skulls. That's my job.
It's not challenging combat at all, but it does give you a bit of a power fantasy, especially when you're nailing missions on harder and harder difficulties. Despite how satisfying the controls and gunplay can be, it does not overshadow any of the game's more glaring flaws, much to my own chagrin. As most were too focused on the game not being another Batman Arkham, others were pointing out crucial problems such as the technical instability, the awkward story moments, the unfulfilling ending, if you could call it that, the strange design and generic feel of different locations, and the mundane boss fights. And that goes without mentioning all the fluff that bloats the game in general, from watching NPCs interact in-game for story moments to being whisked around like you're on a ride at Disney World. Having played through the story mode 3 times, yeah, Suicide Squad's flaws here get annoying and frustrating as I piece together what the thought process was behind these choices.
Lex Luthor wants Batman alive.
Oh yeah, Adoy Harley. Anywho, nice work, guys. Now listen, what we definitely shouldn't do is put him in some kind of elaborate death trap situation.
What?
But that was the game at launch. After spending a year on the market, surely some of these problems have been remedied, right? Well, let's unpack this all one at a time. First and foremost, the technical performance has, well, it's hard to believe the game's been touched at all in this corner. At launch, I did experience a couple of crashes while playing on base PlayStation 5, and I haven't had any more crashes since.
I hope there's turbulence.
However, shortly before writing this video, I began a playthrough with a friend who was playing on a PS5 Pro, and the game crashed on him more times than I even experienced. The most I've experienced were a couple of strange occasions where assets were missing. Not particles or smaller objects, I'm talking about entire chunks of buildings, staircases, and other structures. There was even a moment where Harley straight up disappeared for an entire cutscene and several minutes afterwards, and another moment where we had 2 Harley Quinns in our squad at the same time. Surprisingly, these sizable belches in the system weren't enough to suddenly crash my game, but it was still befuddling to see a game run smoothly while still not performing properly. In other words, regardless of which platform you may play this on, your mileage may vary.
Sheesh, what a mess! And it wasn't us!
security's on.
This is a clearance level X.
As for the story, you can't exactly fix cutscenes and narrative unless you're BioWare and pull a Mass Effect 3 size catastrophe with your ending.
Deathstroke is on the offensive. All units, use caution. I don't need a contract to deliver the kills.
The big disappointment in Suicide Squad's narrative was how it ends with not Brainiac's death, but the news that you gotta fight this dude 12 more times. Obviously, this was done to set up the live service elements for the game, and it was this full year of post-launch support that would make or break Suicide Squad in trying to show people that there is fun to be had here. Now, like I said earlier, I have played through the entire main campaign 3 times, twice on my own, and a third time with friends who were morbidly curious. I even went so far as to pop the Platinum Trophy on PlayStation 5, my 175th Platinum, by the way. I also took part in the majority of the episodes that came after launch so that I could unlock each of the 4 new characters added after release. So when I say I cannot recommend this game to anybody, even after the updates and the fixes, there are some serious problems. See, the way Rocksteady and Warner Brothers Games went about with Suicide Squad's post-launch life nearly tarnished all positivity I had towards the game.
Take note. Always replicate your results. When I run the show, I get
This wasn't another game with a couple of expansions where you had a new set of missions that could be done in an hour or two. No, we can't have a path that is so simple and straightforward. Are you stupid? We need these players to live in our worlds, not visit every so often. And so, the 8 episodes that made it out of the planned 12 have a grindy progression system dubbed Episode Ranks. While the traditional Battle Pass granted emotes, costumes, and more for your characters, the episode rank system was a means to make players grind in order to unlock missions. Most of the time, these locked missions were just the Brainiac boss fights, but if you wanted to play the character locked behind the new episode, well, prepare to grind.
All units, rid this world of its remaining Joker immediately.
Sometimes I think, settle down. Not a clown school, but nah.
This world's what I make it, Earthlings. And I made it.
In most other live service games, grinds can be grueling as you farm for materials, better weapons, and the like. And of all the live service games I've played, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is among the worst when it comes to grinding. None of the episodes contain any missions you have not seen before. The level designs are different as you wreak havoc across dimensions, modeled after Arkham Asylum, a Joker-themed Metropolis, Winter Wonderland Metropolis, and Medieval Kingdoms. And each theme contains interesting layouts that will test your traversal skills. The problem is that the interesting level design does nothing to keep the game from getting stale. Every mission is the same nonsense you did in the main story and what little endgame content there was before we got episode 1.
New achievement! Hey, are y'all gonna keep up or what?
Grab charges to expose weak points, kill hordes of enemies, destroy incubators. You have done it all before here, and it gets old as hell by the time you hit episode 2. And you don't even get a decent amount of progress in boosting your episode rank. To give you a point of reference as to how frustrating this grind can get, I've been playing the game on the hardest difficulty, Invasion +3, which is supposed to increase your XP and currency rewards at the maximum possible value compared to the other difficulties. I went in and spent well over an hour in the Killing Time mission, which is an endless horde mission where killing a certain number of enemies will increase your mastery rank. Mastery ranks, by the way, are modifiers that ramp up the difficulty even more while increasing the pool of legendary weapons to reward you with after. And after spending an hour and a half doing nothing but blowing up enemies on the hardest difficulty and reaching Mastery rank 74, how far into an episode rank do you suppose I got? 25? 17? 14 at least, right? Nope! I got to episode rank 9, from 0 to 9. And to unlock characters, you need to reach episode rank 35.
What do you want? An arm and a leg? Arm I can do.
Every new character is locked behind a mission that is only available when you reach episode rank 35. Do you know how many hours of gameplay that is? Too many. Honestly, the game is lucky I found a character I enjoyed playing as, or else I would have dropped this months ago when I had the chance. And hey, what a lovely segue into the next massive problem with Suicide Squad. Within the course of a year, Rocksteady and Warner Bros. Games added in 4 new characters, bringing the roster to 8 playable characters total. For reference, modern fighting games release their new characters at a similar frequency, so this pacing was sort of expected. These characters could have breathed some life into the game and possibly helped form a cult following had more thought been put into their visual design, how they moved, and the kinds of properties they wield in attacks, for what little the game gave our pre-existing cast. Alas, this endeavor in general made players such as I accept that Suicide Squad was simply not meant to last.
I did not mean to do that.
You did it! Brainiac will think twice now about his unethical use of hero DNA. Maybe.
Starting off with episode 1, we were given the Joker. At first, this inclusion annoyed me because, heaven forbid we ever get a DC Comics product at all without the Joker getting wheeled out for the billionth time.
Is this performance truly worthy of my attention, Joker? You can have it for now.
But once I saw his gameplay and took him out for a spin myself, I found him to be the most fun character in the entire game. More fun than Boomerang. I had a riot surfing rooftop to rooftop on his umbrella, dive bombing into enemies before dropping off a grenade at their feet, and raining explosive gag toys from above. He had a playstyle that made him feel annoying in the funniest of ways, while making traversal across Metropolis feel fluid as hell. Overall, the Joker helped me see the ideas Rocksteady had in designing this game. It's just a shame they flubbed it this poorly, and the quality dropped drastically in the following episodes as we got the next 3 characters.
This earth will reject you like a virus, Task Force X. I've seen to it myself.
Episode 3 introduced Miss Victoria Frias, aka Miss Freeze.
My resources are dwindling.
As open as I was to a gender-bent Victor Freeze, this character was a sign that the remaining 2 characters were going to be half-baked at most, uninspiring at worst. Miss Freeze surfs around the air while creating ice paths to slide on, similar to Iceman from X-Men. Unfortunately, she is really clunky to control. I had a really hard time trying to control my trajectory while also avoiding gunfire, and it resulted in more downs than I would like to admit. In the end, the only use I found for her was grinding out all of the Riddler time trial courses. Easy 3 stars if you can get a decent handle on her traversal. Episode 5 added in Lawless? Yeah, we got Deadshot's daughter as a playable character for some reason, and she is just the worst. Not only is she given the obnoxious Zoomer who is a streamer personality, she also boasts the least unique design in the gameplay department. She plays and moves around exactly like Deadshot. Even her traversal attack is animated similarly to Deadshot. So, unlocking her was just a massive waste of time.
Okay, they're a little obsessed with us.
And what of the final character that we received in episode 7? Is it possible that Deathstroke might make all this grinding worthwhile? The best way I can describe it is if you were among the many of the few players who actively played Suicide Squad, you were most likely among the large crowd of that small group that found Captain Boomerang to be the most enjoyable of the base roster. Well, Deathstroke is a lot like Captain Boomerang in the way he moves. The only difference is that he moves much faster and feels a lot more fluid in a way that is similar to Joker. So he's sort of a happy medium between the two. While Boomer is slow and offers time to plan your shots before reappearing, Deathstroke is much more zippy. So those who enjoy their twitch shooters might enjoy him more. All that said, we basically got two really fun characters to start and end Suicide Squad's post-launch career, with two very mediocre characters sandwiched in the middle. And it begs to question, what other characters could have offered more unique gameplay compared to Miss Freeze and Lawless? Sticking to adding more female representation in the game alone, we could have had Nightshade, Enchantress, Killer Frost, Vixen, Silver Swan, Knockout, or Cheetah, who would probably be the most famous among that whole group. But if you wanted to include more well-known Suicide Squad members, then why did we skip over Black Manta, Katana, Killer Croc, and El Diablo? General Zod was a member of TFX in one era of the comics. Why not add him? It just makes you wonder what happened, what decision-making process went underway that made Miss Freeze and Lawless the choice and led to them being so boring and frustrating to play. I won't even bother wasting yours or my time on describing the weaponry. There are some really awesome looking guns based on various DC Comics villains that I thought looked really sick. Ultimately, I kept using the same loadout for Joker no matter what items I was awarded. Everything aside from my new shotgun, deadly assault rifle, and overpowered grenade mod felt either unbelievably weak or totally useless. Let me give you an example. One mission awarded me a grenade mod that inflicts 0 damage. None. But it inflicts slow motion. So that is definitely a thing.
This Earth will reject you like a virus, Task Force X.
I had another grenade mod that depleted my shields over a matter of seconds, so I was getting knocked down left and right. That is also a thing in the game. Sounds rewarding, right?
So we phased our butts into Brainy's lair and he was steamed, but guess who else showed up?
Now, as I was writing this video, I quickly glanced at my dashboard to see how much time I've put into Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and PlayStation says I have played a total of 92 wait, nope, that's wrong, hang on. How much? 109 hours. Though I'd say it's more around 90 to 95, given the number of times I've left the game idle to go shower, cook a quick meal, go to the bathroom, take a short breather, etc. Basically, I could have done an entire playthrough of Cyberpunk 2077 or one of the Persona games. Yet after 90 to 95 hours, 4 new characters of varying quality and design, 8 monotonous episodes with no new ideas to keep me entertained, 4 of the planned 12 episodes noticeably missing from the game, a frustrating progression system, and no improvements in technical performance? What other reason do I have to keep going? Well, I thought, I kind of want to see if they can at least bring the story to a decent ending. Folks, the new ending they gave us actually made my blood boil. After all of this time I spent playing Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League for a full year, trying to understand it all, we get an ending. The kind of ending we got is a motion comic where the Justice League never died. We only killed clones. Batman knocks out Brainiac with a single punch, the Justice League start putting dimensions back together, and the Squad escapes Waller to live their villainous lives in another dimension. Historically, video game endings rarely come out satisfying, but this is probably one of the most nothing burger endings I have experienced in my 30+ years of gaming. No exaggeration.
Don't you love a happy ending? Even Waller gets to say she saved the world. And she will, if she knows what's good for her.
All of that said, Despite the few aspects of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League I genuinely enjoyed, I cannot recommend this game to anybody. Even after it's been given away for free $99 twice between Amazon Prime and PlayStation Plus, as well as being heavily discounted in a handful of sales across all digital storefronts, I assure you, any money and time you have is better spent elsewhere. Joker was really the only character keeping me entertained for the entire year of post-launch support. And for the rest of it to crash and burn the way it did and offer nothing new to possibly redeem the game in any significant way, oof, what a bad fumble, man. To its credit, Suicide Squad is not in a worse state compared to its launch. However, no change is almost just as bad. Honestly, this entire year kind of paints a dark future for Rocksteady. Batman Arkham director and writer Sefton Hill and many other Rocksteady veterans are no longer at the studio, and at one point early on in Suicide Squad's post-launch cycle, word got out that Rocksteady was being run by a skeleton crew. That said, I would not and am not excited about that Batman Arkham rumor. If anything, this entire year has shown me that Rocksteady might become the next BioWare. Another studio tied down by a legacy that few or none of the new staff have any experience or involvement in. As for Warner Brothers games, I really don't know if any of this aggressive push for live service is within the publisher's wheelhouse. Besides, isn't DC Universe Online still doing okay? I mean, who knows, but isn't that enough? I pray in every else world where I possibly exist that I am proven wrong, and that the new Rocksteady can actually deliver on whatever they end up doing next.
None of us can do this alone. The team you lead, the family you choose, together you'll be formidable. That's something you taught me, son.
Tell me, did you play Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League for yourself? What did you think of the game and or its post-launch support? Let us know down in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays for more great videos every day.